project can really be any temporary work that is designed to create a product, service, or resource. Projects are unique. They are not part of the routine operations of an organization, even if an organization always has projects running, like an academic research group. Instead, it's a well-defined scope of work that is meant to achieve a particular goal, which means it must be managed well to achieve outcomes on time and on budget. Project management, then, is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to manage the project and to meet its requirements. Project management is a career sector in and of itself. In fact, our Postdoc Academy project has a project manager that keeps us on task and on time. The Project Management Institute is a well-known company that offers Project Management Professional, or PMP certifications. However, you are likely managing and participating in projects on a regular basis without this specific certification. The goal of this module is to help you become aware of and develop some of the strategies that contribute to successful project management. The Project Management Institute identifies 5 recurring elements of project management: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Project management knowledge draws on 10 areas: integrating teams and ideas, defining scope, time, cost, quality, procurement or obtaining goods and services, human resources, communications, risk management, and stakeholder management. In academia, particularly in the academic and research environments where postdocs tend to work, we tend to think about projects in terms of grants. Larger scale grants might fund multiple projects, and smaller grants may fund a single project. But grants in general provide the structure for academic research project design. This module will follow Anne-Sophie as she designs and implements her K99/R00 research project. However, projects and project management vary in and outside of academia. I talked to colleagues across a wide variety of career sectors about the elements of project management in their disciplines and career pathways, as well as the skills they apply on a regular basis. We also summarized aspects of this discussion in the table provided.
Project management in my career as a faculty member, I would summarize it as having to hone in on leadership skills. I manage projects related to grants and projects that are not related to grants, so there's a little bit of a difference in how you manage specifically your own grants versus how you collaborate with others. For my specific projects, I am involved in many aspects of management, including fiscal responsibility and managing budgets. And also some of these range from, tens of thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's a wide range of budgets that I need to be familiar with. I also had to learn many aspects of human resources. That is because as a faculty member, I do manage graduate students as well. And as well, I manage staff that work on my grants. So I have to be very knowledgeable about different aspects of management, but I believe that the biggest skill that is needed, which isn't just one expertise or one thing, is in general leadership skills.
So in my role as the director of iSeed at AAAS, project management looks a little differently than it did when I was a project manager myself, and even from when I was a faculty member. So it's been really interesting over the kind of course of my career to think about the different ways that project management shows up depending on kind of what my role has been in a project. And so I think as Julie nicely kind of pointed out, when I was a faculty member, doing project management was really oftentimes focused around a particular one project, oftentimes thinking about how the project that we might have been working on with grant funding might lead to future exploration, or the research, how the research that we were doing in one team might lead to future research projects and continue to grow a kind of deeper investigation of a topic or serving a particular group of people. And when I moved over into the association world, project management started to look quite different, because it started to scale in a way from oftentimes working in a more localized context to starting to think in a more national context, or at least regions. And so my project management kind of world shifted into more collaboration across multiple institutions or across a whole network of people. And now in my current role, I have the pleasure of leading a team of about just a little over 20 people, and we have a project portfolio of over 20 projects that comprise about $33.5 million of grant funding currently at one time. And so project management, in the role that I'm in now, has taken on a little bit more of a kind of meta structure where I have lots of incredible project managers working on my team that are really focused on the particular goals of their projects. And so I see kind of my role now in this director position as thinking about the overall trajectory and strategic kind of direction of our projects together. Oftentimes, I'm thinking very much in a systemic way of thinking about across the STEM landscape, across education from K-12 all the way to adult education, where our various programs have synergies with one another, where we can connect those programs to make bigger impact. And where there are even gaps in the work that we're doing, where we might think about new work to really kind of advance larger priorities around national change or around really solving a kind of systems problem. And so each one of those kind of roles is super important for the work that's happening in those spaces. But as I've grown in my career and progressed, I certainly I have chosen the track of trying to think more from an ecological approach, and so that's offered me just different opportunities to do project management in a different way.
In my role as a scientist at Charles River, project management is to a large degree streamlined. We have a project management team and a sample management team, which means that in my role, I'm collaborating with others to make sure to understand the needs of the project. So I want to understand that I have the correct instrumentation. I want to understand who I'm working with. I want to understand what the study entails if I'm running a SECMOS or a circular dichroism instrument. And I want to understand, do I have the necessary materials to run and execute the project in a timely manner. And efficiency here is key. We don't want to be doubling back to rerun or redo an experiment if we don't have to. So to organize from the beginning and understand what's needed it becomes very important. And then once that's done, we have to give enough time to then write the report also in a timely manner. And so all this planning has to be done up front to understand the time frame and the efficiency of execution.
So in my position at the American Association for Cancer Research, or AACR, as I'll say from here on out, so I develop scientific meetings and conferences. So there's not really one, that's it. So project management for me involves developing a timeline for everything that goes into putting on a scientific conference. So that means, for example, a year out, I'm working with the conference co-chairs who are outside scientists, and they're developing the schedule. I'm helping them to develop the schedule. We're inviting the speakers, and there's a lot of everything I say, there's and et cetera, a lot of other ins and outs. 9 months out, for example, we're collaborating with our marketing department to begin marketing. We're writing needs assessments to send out grants to get continuing medical education continuing medical education grants. We're opening services to begin accepting abstracts, et cetera, et cetera. 6 months out, I am coordinating the review of those abstracts, and we're continuing marketing. 3 months out, we're solidifying the program and preparing the proceedings, and we're coordinating with our logistics department about all of the location details. This was back in the time before COVID when we actually went to hotels and convention centers, but location details such as speaker housing, food, et cetera, coffee, et cetera, et cetera. There are countless other tasks, and in any given year, for project management for me, means that I'm in charge of several meetings throughout the year. So I can be at different points on different meetings. So organization and multitasking is key for me in my position.